Hi, this is Irina here with the winner who swept the Vloggies. Well, I kind of knew that was going to happen. With Brian Conley from Alive in Baghdad. So, how are you? Did you know you were going to win so much?
I had no idea. I think we hoped that we would
Even
win.
when I told you to get a suit?
No, I don't own a suit. I told you that.
I know you did.
But the real winners is the guys in Iraq who are doing the hard work.
Yeah, so tell us about that. Let's tell the viewers, some of viewers who may not know, who may just watch, GTV for the amazing comedy. So let's tell them about Live in Baghdad.
Sure. Alive in Baghdad is a video blog produced in Iraq and edited and distributed here in the U.S. And it was started about a year ago when I traveled to Iraq for about a month.
Okay, so when you say produced in Iraq, can you say exactly what that means?
Yeah, we have two full-time correspondents and several part-time correspondents who shoot video on a regular basis and send tapes to us. Because of the situation, we have to do the editing here, but they do all the direction and shooting and forming the questions and deciding on the shots and even sort of give us direction about how the show should be assembled to some degree, primarily by deciding what footage of all that they shoot that we get.
Okay, and when you say correspondents, who are these people exactly?
Yeah, well, it's a couple of Iraqis. They're just local guys. One of them, was trained as an engineer, and then when the war started, he worked with Channel 4 UK as a fixer and translator. And then now, after that, he decided he was going to give up engineering and a sort of a lucrative career as an engineer and become a journalist so that he could tell the world about life in Iraq. That was Issam Rashid. Our other correspondent, Omar Abdullah, is a Palestinian Iraqi who worked primarily with the Christian peacemaker teams, talking about the issues facing Palestinians and refugees and detainees in Iraq. And then now he's working to sort of tell their stories on video with us.
Okay, and what is it like for them to be walking around with a video camera in Iraq? I understand, as we talked before, it's not very safe.
Yeah, no, it's really dangerous to travel around Iraq in the open with a video camera, and pretty much nobody does that.
What happens if they're seen with a video camera?
Well, one of our correspondents was trying to do some work in the open about 3 months ago, and he was actually kidnapped by one of the militias and held for about 3 days and investigated. They thought maybe he was a terrorist, etc. And so it's pretty hard. It's pretty dangerous.
Mm-hmm. And so how can they film stuff? I mean, how is it that they get so much footage out to you?
Well, Issam, he lives in Adamiya, which is a very sort of close-knit community, and he's lived there his whole life, and so he has a lot of contacts with people, and they know him and trust him. And then otherwise, we just sort of try to use social networks and talk to people that we know and meet them, interview them, make some contacts, and then ask them, like, who else, would you recommend that we talk to? And through that way, we're able to really make some good contacts because people trust us, and then they tell us to talk to other people, and so because we're introduced that way, they know that it's not as dangerous or it's not as risky, and there's that level of trust. It's built just by making social connections.
Okay. And how have you been funded so far for your project?
Well, we're primarily funded by viewership through donations, and then sometimes we've done events, speaking events, and showing footage at big screenings about Iraq. And otherwise, we've gotten a few small grants. We purchased our equipment, and we've paid salaries to the guys in Iraq for the last couple of months through a grant from the Murray Foundation.
And you use Spin Express, is that correct?
Yep, we use Spin Express because right now I live outside Boston, and then one of our editors and supporters lives in Philadelphia, and our other editor, Michael Verdi, lives in San Antonio. And so through Spin Express, we're able to upload the segments and distribute them. To some degree, we've done a little bit of translation with people in Iraq through Spin Express, but that's not worked out so well yet.
And who is translating for you right now from Arabic?
Two guys, one correspondent who's worked with me in Jordan when I've been there interviewing refugees, and he just recently traveled to Lebanon to do some coverage after the war. We'll be producing that soon. And his name's Rafit. And then another guy who's a friend of Omar's who lives in Baghdad is going to begin translating the new material.
And what is your motivation like? Why did you start this? Why do this?
Well, we just really felt like I felt like, people should know what's going on in Iraq. And there's plenty of Iraqi bloggers, text bloggers who are doing really good work, but nobody really building a visual understanding of like life on the ground, like at the street level, right? And we felt like, I felt that it's easier and better for people to connect if they can see people, and they can have a much better relationship by looking at how they live and their houses and their clothes and their faces and get their emotions a lot better than reading. With the text blogs, they're sort of like the anti-war crowd has sort of rallied around the anti-war and anti-occupation bloggers, and the pro-war people have sort of rallied around their version of the Iraqi bloggers. But with video, I feel like, number one, we try to talk to everyone, and so we have interviews with people who were glad for the war, and they are glad the Americans came, and we have a lot more of interviews of people who are very upset about the situation. And I hope that, like, by seeing someone directly and having direct connection, maybe somebody will change their opinion about the situation, or they'll learn a little bit more, or they'll get a more complex understanding.
And what kind of feedback have you had from viewers or, people in Iraq, or something that we maybe didn't expect?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, recently we've found that we actually are starting to get much larger following of people in Iraq who watch our news, which is interesting, because we primarily produce it for people outside of Iraq. But we get a lot of support in the comments, and people, sort of very happy and sort of thankful to see what we're doing. But it's still pretty polarized, We try to sort of say, look, we're not taking a political slant on this. We're just putting you just the facts. It's just people talking about their lives and expressing their, opinion or perspective about an issue. Okay.
But it's pretty, I think you would be more honest to say you are quite polarized. Would you say you're against the war?
I am, but I think that my analysis is more complex than just saying pull the troops out now, or we have to stay the course, And I have to say, I try very hard to not take a political stance on the vlog, and really to sort of say, like, we're journalists, and we're doing journalism work, and this is one perspective, and it's one story, or it's many stories, but it's, from certain view. I mean, we don't very much tell the story of politicians or the military or the sort of higher up administration. That's what CNN's doing. That's what Fox News is doing. That's all they're doing. And so to some degree we feel like we have a place doing this other thing and talking to people at the street level.
Okay.
We're hoping that more people will start viewing, and we're actually I'm about to go to Mexico to start a similar project in Mexico. So hopefully we'll begin getting more viewership that way as well, and just expanding.
So obviously video blogging has been very useful for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the main thing is it's just the RSS feed and sort of distribution. It makes it very easy to reach hundreds or thousands of people, or even tens of thousands.
So what is the future for you?
Well, we're going to be continuing alive in Baghdad, and hopefully expanding, getting, if we can get enough money, we're going to have some more correspondence, so maybe we can produce more than once a week. And then I'm also, like I said, I'm going to be traveling to Mexico to start. We haven't exactly worked out the title, maybe Alive in Mexico, we don't know. But it'll be very similar. I'm going to be going there, doing some coverage for a month, hoping to meet one or two people to sort of situate with some equipment. If not, I'll go back, in 6 months or something, and keep moving on it.
Great. Getting the information from source directly to you.